Firstly, on COVID, Pakistan dealt with it very well, given the size of the population and the resources. 3-4 months ago, you had in Balochistan forest fires. So the Queensland Fire Service helped for 2 or 3 weeks. Virtually, the authorities in Balochistan tackled the fires using our expertise. So that was fires. And then soon after the fires, you have the floods. We are unfortunately also used to having floods and drought, usually drought. When we saw the pictures, I know the Australian community was very shocked by the pictures of the floods in Pakistan, and so Australia has responded by contributing over $5 million to the UN to try and help provide food, especially for women and children. We have Australian agricultural scientists working with farmers in Sindh, but also in southern Punjab to help with the problems of salinization. In other words, there's a lot of salt, and the salt levels are growing in the soil, but also the water table is falling because many people are using water and it's not being refilled. So what plants do well in salty soil, what plants do well with little water? And unfortunately, we need to, in the future, Pakistan's population is growing, so you will need protein. And protein is from pulses like the chana. 50% of the chana that is eaten here is mostly from Australia. So we want to help actually Pakistan grow their own pulses. We're working with farmers because, well, my uncle is a farmer, and you need to work with the farmers on the ground. We have Australians from the Australian Centre for International Agricultural Research, ACR, working with farmers. And one of the things they are working with is what we call the girgit. And the girgit, as you will know, is one of the first words I learned is the Urdu word for chameleon. And this is a great little product that just has these little sensors, and you put 6 sensors in the soil at different levels, and then you hold this card up, you press the button, and then it tells you if it's green, red or blue. It tells you if there is too much water, the right amount, or too little water. And this will help the farmer save water. It will help the farmer not put too much water in. And for $5, you can put many in the field, and you can use internet to judge the right level of water, and also where there's too much nutrients or too few nutrients. So this is a small but important contribution that can be made to farmers. The others is looking at trees. So how you can, when there's floods, you need trees to stop the flooding. Chilies grow well in salty soil. So they're looking at different ways to help farmers. But what I would say about climate change is that it's affecting Australia, it is affecting Pakistan, and no one country can solve the problem of climate change. We have to cooperate together. Climate change in Australia has taken on a bigger role. So our new Minister for Climate Change in Australia now sits with the National Security Committee of Cabinet, with the military, with intelligence, with foreign affairs, with Treasury, because climate change is now a security challenge, not just a climatic challenge. So I've mentioned this to Pakistan's leaders as well, in that this flooding is just one example of more crises and more challenges that will come in Pakistan and come in Australia, and we need to work together to understand how to protect our people, how to protect our infrastructure, and how to make sure that agriculture supplies the food that Pakistanis need as well. The market conditions in Pakistan are challenging, but one thing that has impressed me in Lahore, in Karachi, in Islamabad, when I meet people in the private sector, is how, one, they're often very young. Secondly, they are very enthusiastic. There's a vibrant private sector here, innovative, and there's a lot of potential to compete against any country in the world. It needs to be harnessed in a way. The overall environment needs to be able to be more supportive, to encourage Pakistani companies to export. The Pakistani traders and business people who I've met are looking forward and encouraging because they more trade, because they believe that they can compete. We are already in Australia importing cotton and sheets, etc., in our major stores. We export chana and other agricultural goods. But the biggest and the most important is the services, is in education. So we have about 14,000 Pakistani students studying in Australia. It is safe, it is multicultural, it's high quality. So it's an area that is growing very quickly, and as the Pakistani Australian population grows, we expect there'll be more trade as well. If you want to study in Australia, we welcome it very much. Please, when you submit your visa, check twice before you submit, because any mistakes means the visa can be rejected. So check twice, so you only have to apply once. That is the message for us. And it does take time. There's a big queue because of COVID. But the Pakistani students, I think, have a very bright future in Australia. And some, of course, Pakistanis stay, and some end up playing cricket for Australia. I would say 90% of visas that are applied for are approved. There are some that are not approved, and the problem here is either there's mistakes in the application form, they haven't submitted the right papers. It's complicated. It's not an easy process. I accept that. But if there are mistakes, then and some of the documents that are presented, frankly and unfortunately, are frauds. So, and I talked to the Higher Education Commission about this, as how we can work to make sure that a very small minority of people who are trying to enter Australia and other countries using fraudulent documents means that a lot of checks have to be made on other people, which takes a long time. You were right a few years ago, but that's changed now. So, for instance, if you do a graduate degree, I think you can stay 2 years to work after your degree. And if you, 4 years. 4 years. 4 years. And if you do a master's degree, you can take 6 years. So it means that you can study, and then once you have work for 6 years, you're able to ask for citizenship as well. So it is a path to citizenship, and we're encouraging people who study in Australia to stay in Australia if they want to. Of course, if they're being sponsored by the Pakistani government, then they should come back and contribute to Pakistan's development as well. The potential for Pakistan as a tourist destination is huge. I used to work in tourism, I used to be a tour guide, I used to run an adventure tour company. My motto for Pakistan is awesome Pakistan. If you go to the north, if you see the mountains up there, it's awesome. If you go to Lahore and you see the mosques and you see the palaces there, it's awesome. If you go down to Karachi and you see some of the old buildings there, it's awesome. I think Pakistan has great potential to bring tourists and to earn foreign income that way. So that's another area I'd like to invest in, because I do think Pakistan is awesome.